All right, I got the valve covers back on. New gaskets and everything, and yeah, we're gonna fire it up. Let's see what happens.
Come on, come on, come on, Leo.
Yo, so welcome back. I'm gonna do a quick valve adjustment on this because there's something completely wrong with this driver's side of this motor. When I was driving, I think the last week, I was taking it back and forth to the brewery and stuff, and there's something making like a crazy loud noise, and I had just done the hydraulic throwout, and I was thinking like maybe the clutch was rubbing against the fingers again. I don't know. I wasn't really sure what was going on. And then I went over and like listened to the valve covers, and I was hearing something like this, but like at like 1,000 revolutions. It was so fucking bad. So this rocker over here is so shot, and it needs an adjustment. So we're gonna go through right now, and I'll show you guys how to do a quick adjustment on this, because these motors are fucking hilariously easy and archaic, and yeah. But yeah, so the last few times that I was driving the car, something just progressively got worse. The noise was just not good, and I was like, what the fuck is that? I don't like that at all. And I see what it was. Doing half turn on these to where it snugs out. Perfect. That one's pretty snug. I'm doing baby turns on them, just there. That one's fine. Actually, that one's moving a little bit. And you could, so it's funny too, is that you look at these videos on these old motors, and people are doing these fucking adjustments. So, can you see how that one's pretty loose? So I'm spinning that one freely in my hands. That needs to be adjusted. So we're going half turn, see where it's at. That was actually enough to tighten it. This one's a little loose. Are you checking
the push rods too, or just the top?
No, I'm only checking the push rods.
Will you tighten everything to the same
same spec?
amount, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking. So, guys, this is what this side was making the noise, and after like opening it up and then rotating the motor a little bit, this is what I found out. So this is definitely the cause of the noise. And it's funny because sometimes like an inexperienced person at first hearing this may think it's like rod knock, which is a way fucking worse sound. And we also still had oil pressure, so we're fine, but this is unacceptable. But I'm surprised this didn't break off, because there's a very good chance that if I kept running the motor like this without like assessing this thing, it would have been fucking terrible. Right, Peruse? That shit would have damn near broke, huh?
It's not good. You could bend you could bend a push rod or fuck some shit up.
That's what I'm thinking. If it's fucking bouncing back and forth and it's like vibrating like this, it's not good at all.
Fucking ridiculous.
But yeah, you guys, I bought this, and I'm fucking ecstatic about it. It's actually a car that I wasn't really thinking about previewing on the channel for a couple years, just because I didn't know if I was going to find one again. They're very hard to find, especially in decent condition, and let alone this one having a swap project that was already started. So that's kind of what like sold it to me. I was like, oh, it already has a V8 in there, which is what I wanted to do, is V8 swap one of these, since only like 6 or 7 have been done, if not less. And yeah, I'm just fucking stoked to have this thing ripping.
Oh my god.
Okay. Another. Yeah, pretty simple adjustment actually. The only thing I'll have to go do after this though is I will have to go and get a new cylinder or a head gasket, or the valve cover gasket, because that one was so fucked. So.
Jesus, you named every gasket possible.
Okay, so just last thing real quick is preload. So we're going, look at a clock, right? I'm looking at the rocker, and this bolt has a clock. That's 12, that's 3, that's 6, that's 9. So I'm starting at 6. I'm going to set it a third of the way. So you can do a half, you can do a quarter. This guy in the other video I was watching does it all the way to 3/4, which is from 6 to 3. I don't like it that tight. I'm chilling. I'm going to go 6 to 9, and then I'm going to bump it one more, which is to 10. So 6, there's 9 being perpendicular, and then we'll go to 10. Boom. I'm just basing it off a clock scale. So fucking simple, you guys. See how this one's kind of loose too? Perfect. So go 6 to 10. Money. Dude, it's actually kind of funny that like you're on the phone, because it's almost like you're working with me on my engine. It's like tech support. It's fucking awesome.
It is tech support. Okay, sir. What year is your 350 small block? Okay. In order for me to be able to assist you, I will need this 5-digit code on the head of the motor.
Fucking stupid. Okay, boys, bear with me. I almost didn't record this because I was so fucking frustrated at my luck with cars. Now, I did nothing wrong. It's just the turn of events that happens when I buy something or whatever, any project that I deal with. And I should try and remind myself that I buy projects in the sense that I should check everything. But that's not what happened. So, going through the valve adjustment, everything worked out fine, except that one rocker that was crazy loose. I probably should have pulled it and then checked the push rod because it was already bent. And this is what we're looking at now. It came out like this. When I ended up opening up the valve cover again after that weird ass noise that was on camera, it came out like this. And I pulled it and I was like, oh my God. And then I looked further into the car and the spring was fucking broken. And I found in the bottom right corner of the head the spring material sitting right here. So, this is now what we're dealing with. I pulled the same intake valve push rod next to it. So I have the ability to buy another one of these. They do sell these solo. I did the outside diameter measurement, found it. It's a comp cam push rod. It's like $5. Perfect, fine, hilarious, it's easy. However, I'm praying this is the only piece of metal that's in there. Because this thing, if this broke off in there, I would have never been able to salvage it. It would have just been fucked and then went into the bottom end and toast. So, I'm working with unknown specs here. I know what roller rocker package I have. It's the Comp 1.52 something. I know what diameter my push rod length is now and width. The only thing I'm unsure right now, but I have a measurement for my micrometer, is the width of the spring, since that spring's fucked. Now, the smart thing to do is like to replace everything, right? Do all the springs. And I can. It's very simple to go and do that, especially with the tool that they have made. I do want to see, though, if it is this comp spring that I'm looking at, and if they sell them individually. If they do, I'm going to try that. Because why not? Like, there's no reason to just go buying a whole bunch of crazy other new shit if you can make it work with what goes on. Or if you can't make it work with just replacing the pieces that broke. So, yeah, we're going to I'm going to order that push rod. I'm going to hopefully get the one spring. If I can't, I'll do all springs and then get the tool and do the springs, pop them out. So as you might be able to see in here, that spring is the one that broke right there. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, it broke on two different lobes. And I'm like, wait, why does it look like there's a big ass gap here? Oh yeah, these have way more lobes. And then I found the fucking piece over here. So I brought a magnet to this entire valley and like sucked all these little bits out that I could that looked like metal or whatever. It wasn't running for that long to get chewed up, which is good. But at least now I know that I could do that and hopefully change just one out. If not, change them all out. Not a big deal. It's cheap enough, so we'll see what happens. But fucking frustrating, you know. So here's your keepers. Here is your spring, your retainer, and your bucket. Okay. So we're sitting with those there. This is the piece that broke. Fucking crazy, dude. That shit snapped. Before I do that, though, I want to measure the diameter of this so I can see if I can cross-reference this on any of the comp cam springs on Speedway or Summit. So if we can get this bitch to sit still, make sure we got it set to 0, 0, 1.234. I'm gonna say that can vary a couple hundredths of an inch. It can be anywhere from 1.225 to 1.255. So 1.234, yeah, I think it's kind of screwy. We'll see what happens when I look back into that. But now I kind of want to go see if there's a different piece that broke off. Dude, I'm so fucking amazed by Summit. So where I left you guys last night was I was waiting to figure out what the measurements were for the parts, and I had to make a call to my buddy that runs a machine shop, and he gave me the whole rundown because he knows small blocks like by the back of his hand. So I ordered this shit from Summit at 6:30 last night. It's fucking 12:29 right now. The next day, it's already here. I don't understand how they're that fucking fast. So I pulled out the push rod on an intake valve on a separate cylinder to see what the length was of the one that broke. And this is the one. I measured it with the tape measure and my caliper. It's like 7 3/4 of an inch, which is 7.75. And then here we go. Found a fucking push rod. Comp Cams sells the exact same one. Mind you, I was kind of guessing that I have a full comp head set up just because everything, as far as the rockers, yeah, honestly, the only thing on there that says comp is the rockers. They're 1.52 lift or whatever the fuck. So I was assuming whoever put this motor together originally probably just bought all comp to make it easy. So here we go. Fucking boom. That will fix... That'll fix this motherfucking broken push rod right there. So perfect. Now we got a new one. I also ordered a valve spring. So the valve spring I'm waiting on. Again, after talking to that guy, Rich, actually he's the guy who built did the machine work on the 2J motors. He's up in Napa. Cool shop, TEM Performance. But after talking to him and kind of like giving him a rundown about what the springs probably could be, because he goes, well, you got a big ass cool guy cam in that car? And I'm like, I mean, fucking, what do you mean? He goes, does it sound like a typewriter's tapping? Like it's loud as shit? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, okay, well, you probably have this cam. I probably know exactly what your setup is. And since I told him the lifters or the rockers were already comp, he's like, you probably have comp springs too. So these are single springs, and then it has what looks like a dual valve spring in there, but it's not. It's a dampener, he said. So, which would throw me off. I almost bought a dual valve spring. It's not what I had. I have singles with the dampener. But I bought a new spring to replace that. Now, you can go and buy a full set of springs if you want to know what's in there. The thing is, there's only 2 springs from comp that look like this that are singles, and I figured out which one mine was after talking to him. So I just bought a single. It's kind of dope. They sell for $20. So I'm going to throw that in, and we're good to go. I think I left you guys off earlier with me waiting on one other part. I got the push rod replacement, which was 7.75. So I got the replacement for this broken thing. And then I was waiting on the spring. So I got the spring from comp. And after talking to a buddy that owned the machine shop, we figured out which one we had to order. It was 941-1. And that was the individual spring with the harmonic balancer, or the basically a dampener on the inside of the spring, which makes it look like a dual, but it's not. So I did that, did another valve adjustment after loosening everything and re-going through it. And I had forgot when I started it originally, when the rocker arm and the push rod broke. I was fucking with the carb, thinking that I was like way out and raise the idle, all this shit. Well, I don't know. I know now that it's together, I'm probably gonna have to go and fuck with the carb again because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to that. But we're learning. And yeah, so I'm gonna give this thing a crank. I cranked it with no fuel, just to make sure the motor would cycle and nothing was moving. I put oil over the cams or the lifters and everything. So I'm gonna make sure now that it fires up. I mean, I've got fuel. Nothing else really changed. More so just the idle and the carb stuff, and we'll see if it runs and doesn't make a fucking tick. Let's listen. Way better. It's going to be too loud, I know, but at least with the idle raised right now, even from when we left off at, this is already idling way smoother. So the drivetrain definitely needed, or the valve train definitely needed that. Here, I'm going to bring you guys on a walk around real fast so you can hear this. Oh, that is so good. Here, I'll have to go down lower. So good. So I'm gonna let this warm up to operating temp, and then I'm gonna fuck with the idle a little bit and bring it back down to where I like it idling at, and then we'll see if the air fuel is off from the carb, and I'll kind of adjust it and go from there. But yeah, this thing, thank God that fixed the motor. Hilarious, like literally a $30 fix to where I almost probably detonated the motor if I left it idling a little longer. So thank God we fixed it.